Hello hockey fans, and welcome back to another video. Now, most of you who watch my videos every week might be thinking to yourselves, why is Oddman Rush uploading a video so early in the week? Usually he uploads every Thursday and Sunday, right? Well, this week is a little bit more unusual or unique compared to the other 52 weeks in the calendar. There are 52, right? Because it's my birthday. I'm turning 24 years old this week, so I'm getting quite old, folks. But yeah, it's my birthday this week, so I decided instead of spending my birthday week getting a video written and, you know, getting it ready and recorded and edited and uploaded, I figured I'd do something a little bit different, and I had the perfect opportunity to do so over this last week. As, for those of you who don't know, I run a podcast as part of the Hockey Podcast Network called the Europuck Podcast. It's where myself and one of my friends, Chris, we talk about all things European hockey on the Hockey Podcast Network. It's a original show to that network. And I had the perfect opportunity recently, a very, very unique opportunity, to interview a couple of guys involved with hockey in Israel. I had the opportunity to talk to them about what hockey is like in Israel, what the sport of hockey is in Israel. Is there a professional league? How's the layout of the sport over there? Some of the exciting plans they've got over the next coming months and years, and how they're hoping to grow the sport to a wider audience, what their plans are in the next couple of years, and also had the opportunity to talk to a player who was actually playing Division 3 NCAA hockey, who is from Israel. He was born and raised in Israel, and he went over to Canada, trained 5 days a week, then moved to America and got the opportunity to play in Division 3 NCAA. So I think he's the first Israeli to do so as well. So I'm going to throw you over to past Oddman Rush and give you a bit of a highlight clip of the interview that took place with these guys. And if you want to check out the full 90-minute interview that I had with them, go and check out the Europuck Podcast YouTube channel. It's also available Spotify, Apple, wherever else you get your podcasts. But if you want to see exclusive bonus clips, see the entire interview, the video form, then go and check out our YouTube channel. We're getting close to 500 subscribers on there, so if you guys could help us out, that'd be great. But without further ado, here's the interview with Israeli hockey. Mark, do you want to just give a brief overview of who you are and what you kind of do and why this podcast is a great place for you to come and chat to us for a little while?
Well, sure. Thank you, Hayden, for having me on. First of all, this afternoon here in New York, where I'm based out of. My name is Mark Brunnen-Graber. I'm a 49-year-old former hockey player and attorney in private practice in New York. I also am a former editor of a website that was around for about a dozen years called International Hockey Forums. And I also am helping run the Israeli National Hockey Society, which is a new venture designed to promote the sport of hockey in Israel and support the Israeli Ice Hockey Federation, which, as you know, is an IIHF member, support the Israeli National Domestic League and its constituent clubs, also help the various hockey schools in the country with the training of youth so that the next generation can play the sport. And, you know, I'm an old man now, but I'm a former player myself.
So not only are you a former player, you're doing all of these great things for Israeli hockey, you're also an attorney as well. How did you find the time to do all of this, Mark?
Well, that's why I'm bald now. But, so Avishai got in touch with me and basically said he was putting together a charity event in Boston to play against MIT, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, where Avishai had actually captained the hockey team back in the day. So he had explained that it was too expensive to bring over the entire Israeli national squad. He was putting together about half the team, and then he wanted to fill it out with American and Canadian Jews to kind of give it a little bit of authenticity. And so he asked me if I'd want to play goal. This was back in 2014, and at the time I said, you know, I'm going to be 42 years old. I haven't really played much in about 8 years, and I don't know that you'd really want me. But he laughed and said, it's a charity game. Just, you know, come down and play. I did, and that led to a whole slew of other games that I helped organize, actually, to bring awareness to Israeli hockey and raise some funds. And what we did was we ended up playing games against a bunch of different NHL alumni teams. And we played also Duquesne University out of Pittsburgh. And we ended up beating the college teams, and we ended up losing to the NHL alumni teams. No shock. NHL guys in their 40s and even early 50s that are still in great shape and want to beat you or are going to beat you. So that's how it started.
Interesting. Okay, I was just going to say, like, NHL players, everybody that's a fan of an NHL team, they can discuss their abilities as hockey players as they get in their later stages in their careers, but they are still better than 99.9% of anybody that's played hockey on this planet. So it's really
Oh yeah.
interesting when you put those alumni up against either guys that haven't played professionally or guys that have had different experiences in their careers. There is still that divide, isn't there?
Yeah, when we lined up to play against the Dallas Stars alumni at the American Airlines Arena in Dallas, I remember I started the second period. I didn't last very long, by the way. I got pulled after, I think I gave up 3 goals on 9 shots in about 10 minutes or so. But anyway, it's fine. I made a save on D Carbonell. I'll take that with me to the grave.
Perfect.
But yeah, I think when they lined up for the face-off, it was Greg Adams, Bob Basson, Landon Wilson, Richard Matvichuk, Gerald Didick, and Marty Turco in net. And I remember saying to myself, "What the hell am I doing out here?" But it was fun. It was fun. It was a good cause, and it helped raise awareness. And Israeli hockey really has started to become a little bit more of a known quantity around the world now partly because of the efforts of what we did. And that led to the creation now of the Israeli National Hockey Society. Obviously, Israel isn't just important for only Jewish people. You know, it's Jesus's birthplace. It's important to everybody around the world who's Christian faith. It's important to the Muslim faith. And one of the beautiful things about Israeli hockey, you know, contrary to what you see in a lot of the media around the world, for the most part, at least citizens, you know, people who live in Israel proper, they live in peace with each other, regardless of whether they're Jewish, Christian, Muslim, Baha'i, Druze. And we actually have in one of the schools, the Canada-Israel Hockey School in the north, in Metula, which is actually run by Levav Weinberg, who's the president of the Israeli Ice Hockey Federation. They actually have had Arab Druze, Arab Muslim, and Arab Baha'i children skate with Jewish children, and it's a great way to break down barriers, and it's kind of a microcosm of what can go on in the world if people come together through sports, and specifically hockey.
Exactly. I think it shows sports, they transcend those boundaries of everything else that's going on in the world. As a UK hockey fan, we're kind of used to a lot of our population here in the United Kingdom not knowing that we have hockey, let alone a professional hockey league that competes with some of the best leagues out there. We have a GB national team that is in the top tier world championships this last year. I would imagine that feeling of kind of a lot of people not knowing the thing that you love, it doesn't exist, is even more amplified in a place like Israel, where, you know, it's not seen as a conventional hockey market. So what's the kind of layout of Israeli hockey like? What's the domestic league like? Are there any comparables that you can make that might make it easier for some other people to think, okay, that's the kind of quality that we're looking at here?
Sure. I would say, you know, comparing it to, say, a North American model, I would compare the level of the clubs more or less to a college club, anywhere from, you know, the 3rd through 5th tier of college hockey in the United States. USA Hockey divides junior hockey into, say, the USHL, which is equivalent to Canadian Major Junior, the NAHL, which is Junior A level, and then they have what they call Tier 3, which is basically what we would call Junior B and C. So I would say the Israeli domestic league is somewhere around, you know, intercollegiate club in the United States and Junior B level, or what the US would call Tier 3 junior. There are players who are above that. There are players who are below it. You know, part of what you see too in Israel is that you don't really have the pool of players that you have even in a country like GB, you know, or throughout the UK. There's very few players of quality that can raise the league to the level that it's even at. You got to remember, Israel makes do with one Olympic-sized rink in the far north of the country on the border with Lebanon. They also have a half-size rink, or a little over half-size rink, where it's only suitable for 4-on-4 plus goalies. That's in Holon, which is a suburb of Tel Aviv. That's where the population center is, and they only have this tiny little rink, and they have to share this rink and the one up in the north, the full-sized one, with, you know, figure skating, hockey schools, recreational hockey, every different age group from, say U8 all the way up through U20. And then they also have to squeeze in the National League team training. So it's really difficult. And another rink has opened now outside of Netanya. So it's the second full-size rink. It's only open for less than a year, I want to say. So to get to the level that they've gotten as a national team, which is currently in Division 2A, and they're normally in Division 2B, is pretty remarkable considering the lack of resources in the country.
You've mentioned it to me when we were talking before we started recording this podcast. You mentioned how the 2013-14 season to the 2017-18 season was kind of the golden years of Israeli hockey as we've known, or as you've known it so far. I just wanted to ask you, you said that obviously in our conversations, things have taken a bit of a downward turn over the last couple of years. Obviously, the current situation doesn't help things at all, but you could say that about every sort of area in the world. What do you think of what do you think of the things that led to that success over that sort of 5-year period? And are you seeing some of the things that led to that success maybe not be there so much after the last couple of years? And what do you think could be done to help improve the, not just getting eyes on Israeli hockey, but to improve the infrastructure and make it sort of more of a legitimate, viable venture for people that are interested in becoming hockey players in Israel?
Well, I think there's a number of factors that play into it. For a start, during that run of about 5 years or so, there really was harmony in the sense of, as you've probably seen, and I don't know, so I could be off base here, but in smaller hockey countries and the hockey federations, you see a lot of politics, you see a lot of different groups that have their idea of how things should be run. But there was really a period of relative stability and peace during those years. So the clubs, the different owners of all the different clubs and the federation board and everything were all kind of in harmony at that time. There's been some differences with various groups that have history with the federation over the last couple of years that have caused a little bit of infighting, and I'm not going to pick sides and say, who's right, who's wrong. That's really not my place. And with the Israeli National Hockey Society that I've helped form now, we're really an organization that looks to support the federation as a whole. Kind of the attitude that the name on the front is more important than the name on the back. So regardless of who runs it or who's in power at any given time, our loyalty will always be to the federation as a whole rather than any individual group. Also, different club, some clubs have pulled themselves from the National League now because of the various disputes, and that weakens things. When you have some good clubs that were competitive and they pulled themselves, and now you only have 2 or 3 clubs that were at that level, and basically what Israel Hockey had to do, they had to take their B League and basically move it up to the National League. And then they had like 3 teams left that really were of the National League caliber, and that led to seeing games, 20-1, 17-2, that kind of thing. So, there's a little bit of a reversal now, and we're hopeful to see that, some of the clubs and the current federation will eventually have a rapprochement and come back and put everything together, because really the community for Israeli hockey is too small, to have that kind of discord. But hopefully it'll come back together, and I think it will, because there's good people on all sides. There's no real villains in this.
So yeah, that was a bit of a clip from my interview with Israel Hockey. If you guys want to see the full interview, like I said, go and check out the Europuck Podcast YouTube channel. But thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you have enjoyed. Please feel free to like, subscribe, share, or watch some of my other videos. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye. A big thank you to Carl Fairbank, Chris Gadsby, Connor B, John Plomin, Jordan Whitehead, Roman from London, and Worthless Pieces for helping support this video via Patreon. If you too want to help support the channel a little bit further and get a shout out at the end of every future video, make sure you head over to patreon.com/oddmanrush and become a patron today.